Nancy Mace wants little girls and women to drop trow in front of who? An investigator? Who would that be? In order, because she wants to suspect and point fingers at who she thinks is trans, is disgusting. What Nancy Mace and what Speaker Johnson are doing are endangering all women and girls.
I've got a good one for you guys today. Now, we already know AOC is radical. We know she's unhinged, but the rant she gave last night might be the most unhinged one you've ever heard. But before we get into the video, make sure you guys hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. Now let's get into it. Now, Nancy Mace, the congresswoman from South Carolina, put forth a bill to ban the newly elected transgender woman, aka a man pretending to be a woman, from using the women's restrooms. Perfectly reasonable, but the Democrat Party has been freaking out about it and has apparently chosen this hill to die on because they've been fighting every day for a man to be allowed to use the women's restroom. Ironic, coming from the party that claimed that they're about women's rights. And of course, AOC, one of the looniest people in the nut house, came out with just this unhinged, deranged rant about how stopping a man from using the women's bathroom is actually going to be dangerous and extremely harmful to, get this, women. Watch.
When it comes to who has the right to access a bathroom here, what Nancy Mace and what Speaker Johnson are doing are endangering all women and girls. Because if you ask them, what is your plan on how to enforce this? They won't come up with an answer. And what it inevitably results in are women and girls who are primed for assault because people are going to want to check their private parts in suspecting who is trans and who is cis and who's doing what. And so the idea that Nancy Mace wants little girls and women to drop trow in front of who? An investigator? Who would that be? In order, because she wants to suspect and point fingers at who she thinks is trans, is disgusting. It is disgusting. And frankly, all it does is allow these Republicans to go around and bully any woman who isn't wearing a skirt because they think she might not look woman enough. People have a right to express themselves, to dress how they want, and to be who they are. And if a woman doesn't look woman enough to a Republican, they want to be able to inspect her genitals to use a bathroom. It's disgusting. And everybody, no matter how you feel on this issue, should reject it completely. What are they doing? They're doing this so that Nancy Mace can make a buck and send a text and fundraise off an email. They're not doing this to protect people. They're endangering women. They're endangering girls of all kinds. And everybody should reject it. It's gross.
No, what's gross is forcing actual women to share their personal spaces with a man who thinks that he's a woman, all to protect his feelings. If you're an adult man and you want to dress up as a woman and just throw on a wig and a dress, that is your right. But you cannot force the rest of society and real rules around the biological differences between men and women to just go along and play with your delusion. We're not going to play in your theater production with you because it's going to hurt your feelings if we don't. And what a weird and demented imagination AOC has. I mean, her rant was just completely incoherent, was not based in any logic, any facts, any proof, any evidence. It was all just imagination and speculation. And it's weird how her mind goes towards, oh, what are they going to do? Make girls just drop their pants before they can enter the bathroom to prove that they're women? Like, to even make a stretch like that is just demented and kind of twisted. I mean, she asks how it's going to be enforced. Like every other bathroom in the entire United States doesn't apply to the same rules. A man can't go in a woman's bathroom. What happens when a man does? Women yell, they scream, they tell the owner or the manager of the establishment that there's a man in there. They call the police and they get kicked out. That's how it'll be enforced. If you're a guy wearing a dress and a wig and you think that that somehow turns you into a woman magically, you're not going to be allowed in there. It's almost as if she doesn't understand that we can all tell the difference between a man and a woman. Now here's a different congresswoman echoing the same thing, that this bathroom ban is somehow hateful and dangerous. Watch.
It looks like she's being driven by money and popularity and trying to send a message out that's disgusting and that's dangerous. Also, I mean, come on. What does she want? To have a policeman or woman to police the bathrooms? It's really sickening, and I don't know what's driving her, because in the past, she hasn't been that hostile. But I say we have to circle the wagons. Congresswoman-elect McBride is coming to Congress to do her job like every other member of Congress, and so we just have to call this out to what it is. It's disgusting, it's hateful, and it's dangerous, and she's promoting hate.
And I'll say it again, that is why the Democrat Party got swept in this election, because they have these insane radical worldviews that they force down everybody's throat. And if you even ask a question about it, you're labeled hateful and dangerous. And trans youth are gonna unalive themselves because you're simply asking, why does a boy need to be in the bathroom with my daughter? Now, Nancy Mace is an absolute badass, and here's a reporter trying to press her on her bathroom bill, and she absolutely destroys him with just some simple common sense. Watch.
The question is, with your piece of legislation about banning women from using...
100% yes.
My question to you is...
It doesn't go far enough. I'll be filing more bills.
You have said that it was created in response to Congresswoman-elect McBride.
100%.
But should legislation be created targeted at one specific person?
It doesn't mention anyone in the legislation, but
you've said it was aimed at her.
No, I have said it's a result of this. I'm not going to allow biological men into women's private spaces. I will stand in the brink and stand in the way of anyone on the radical left who thinks that it's okay for a penis to be in a women's locker room or a bathroom or a changing room. Hell no. I am not going to stand for it. And the Speaker said it would be in the House rules package. If it's not, I'll be ready with a motion, a privileged motion, to force a vote on this. This is not okay. I'm a survivor of rape. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. And I'm not going to allow any man in any female private spaces.
Now, Speaker,
end of story. And by the way, I'm getting death threats from men pretending to be women. Why is it that these crazy people, the insanity, the radical left, are willing to kill women over a man's right to be in a women's restroom?
Speaker Johnson has said he wants to treat every new member with the words dignity and respect. Forcing this congressperson to go into a male restroom, is that dignity and respect?
Forcing women to share private spaces with men is not dignity and not respect. And I'm absolutely going to stand in the way of anyone who thinks it's okay for a man to be in our locker room, in our changing rooms, in our dressing rooms, in women's bathrooms. And in fact, if you agree with that, you're crazy, because that's not okay. It's not okay.
Congresswoman,
and I think what she said in a lot of ways embodies what the outcome of this election said, is the Democrats are trying to say to us, hey, you don't agree with our worldview? What's wrong with you? Are you hateful? And we, the American people, responded with, no, what's wrong with you? This is crazy. Let's break it down. You're allowing men with mental issues, or at the very least, some weird sexual fetish, into private spaces with women where they are undressing and vulnerable. And you think somehow that's a good idea, or safe, or respectful to women? If you're a woman in the locker room and now you are being forced to see penises swing all around you, that is so insulting and disturbing and makes them feel uncomfortable and unsafe. And we're the crazy people because we think that that shouldn't be allowed. Now here's MSNBC's ultimate soy boy reporter, Chris Hayes, talking about Pete Hegseth, who's Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, slanderously calling him a sexual abuser. Watch.
It's been very interesting to me to watch the sort of the Hegseth stuff. And again, I want to be clear. He denies this. He says there was a consensual sexual encounter in which a woman who had gone to the hotel with her husband and children at a conservative women's conference consensually slept with him and then fabricated an allegation. But what I think is interesting here is the defense is, well, the police looked into it, which they did. There's a police report, and chose not to bring charges.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the defining things we learned in Me Too was that just because the police don't arrest someone for a sexual assault does not therefore mean a sexual assault did not happen.
Right. I mean, then the entire point of the Me Too movement is that powerful men have gotten away with being serial rapists for years. I mean, if you look at the Hegseth report, at the actual police report, which I recommend that everyone does, the details are nauseating. I mean, she says he took her phone away, that she said no multiple times, that he blocked her from getting out of the hotel room. She went to the ER and did a rape kit. She reported it to the police. This woman did everything right. And the fact that the police didn't pursue it, I mean, since when are the police, so great at dealing with rape in the first place? So
if we're not relying on the criminal justice system to determine whether somebody is guilty or not of a crime, then what are we using to determine it? Because otherwise, what he's basically saying is anybody can levy any accusation at anybody at any time for any reason, and it must be taken as true and accurate. The Democrats rely on the court of public opinion to determine somebody's guilt or not. Now, his guest, who seems to be this weird, radical, single cat lady type, actually contradicts what soy boy Chris Hayes just said. Watch.
I think part of the problem was that the mantra sort of believe women, which is sort of trying to correct from women never being believed, was turned into believe all women, which conservatives took to mean that a woman can just open her mouth and say anything, and we automatically believe her. And that was never what the Me Too movement was seeking, and that's never what progressives were saying. But I think that sort of, I felt the sea change start with Christine Blasey Ford, and she gave that incredibly powerful testimony, and half the country just said, we don't believe you, or we don't care.
I mean, the same person who wrote a column piece calling Trump and all of his cabinet picks these weird sexual deviants who harm women with no proof, with no allegations turning into convictions, just said that the Me Too movement isn't about believe all women. It's clearly what you guys think, or else you wouldn't be putting so much emphasis on these accusations that haven't materialized into anything. And I think the lady she was talking about was the lady who came out against Judge Kavanaugh. And basically what she's saying is actually do believe all women. Oh, she came out with this very moving and deep testimony and no one believed her. Well, yeah, because none of the accusations were substantiated with any proof. So what they're trying to say is believe all women. And then when you say, hey, I don't think that's a pretty good standard to uphold because women are people too, and they can lie, and that can have a disastrous effect on a person's career if they lie and slander them in that way. She says, oh no, that's not what we're asking. We just want justice. But then we'll say that a police report or a police finding doesn't mean that something did or did not happen. I mean, I see why these people are so delusional, because the circles that they're running around just to try to justify their beliefs must make them dizzy and sick to their stomach. Now, real sexual deviant and certified playboy, President Bill Clinton, had an interview with MSNBC where he gave this weird kind of analysis, kind of trying to attack the Republicans, but actually giving a massive self-own to the Democrats. Watch.
Some of the votes that happened in the last election are people who are just exhausted by uncertainty and tired of carrying it around. And that always helps the right. People are vulnerable to negative reactions if they think they're being moved down on the totem pole somehow. Mm-hmm. They're being shafted because someone else is getting a break they don't deserve, or because they think they're entitled to live in a world where there's one set of rules for them more favorable and another set for everybody else.
Yeah, that's what happened to the Democrats. The people felt like they were getting knocked down the totem pole. Illegal immigrants were being prioritized because they were. All these foreign wars, the funding had to go to them. They were being prioritized. And the American people were screaming out for help to their problems. And the Democrat response was, oh, you're fine. These problems don't matter. Look at the report by Goldman Sachs. They say the economy is fine. But I just love the lack of awareness coming from the Democrat Party. It's clear they haven't figured it out, and they're not even close to figuring it out, which bodes well for Republicans because it means we should have the next couple of elections. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. AOC's rant and her outrage absolutely took me out. Make sure you guys like the video if you have not already, and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.